It's not only for women. Anyone who gets into this field, I'd say get into it for the right reasons. Don't get into it because entrepreneurship is a big word these days. Get into it because you actually want to make a difference and you understand the value that you bring in. I'm Naureen Hyat. I'm co-founder and CEO of Tez Financial Services, which is Pakistan's first fintech that got its license for lending, and we've been in the business of nano lending since 2018, providing loans to the and underbanked all over Pakistan. I think the model of Tez is different from most fintechs right now, even when it comes to lending. We provide collateral-free loans to people without any credit histories. These are people who've been new to banking. And the other interesting thing is that we actually have developed proprietary credit scoring algorithms, which currently no one in Pakistan has developed. And using our algorithms, we assess data and assign credit scores to people, and that's how we make lending decisions. I think I definitely see much more of women in this space now. When I started, I probably used to be the only woman, in any event or in a room, because there are not a lot of women even now in the fintech space. But the good thing is that we have more of us coming in, not only as founders, but also people who are leading teams and who are working, to achieve fintech goals. So definitely that change coming through, but we definitely need more of them. I think yes, currently statistics tell you that people who come from these bigger universities have been more successful in raising funding. But it's not true that only people who graduate from bigger universities can be people who come up with valuable ideas. And anyone who actually understands the need of the people around you and who can come up with valuable options and innovations, it can come even from someone at the base of the pyramid. Doesn't have to be someone who has started from Ivy League. So yeah, I think that's the reason is that they're much more at liberty and at the luxury of knowing networks from where they can raise funding and position themselves well. But I feel that anyone who actually feels very strongly for the idea and creating value can be a good entrepreneur. So yeah, the strive should not be for big valuations, but for value creation. Great to see a lot of innovations coming through. In Pakistan, we're still at the cusp of where fintechs are actually at that stage where they can make a dent. Yes, there's a lot of conversations happening, but a lot more has to be done in terms of actually bringing in the and underbanked into the financial mainstream. And for that, you need financial muscle, which conventional banks or current institutions have. So I think partnership definitely is the way to go. But changing mindsets for conventional institutions is not going to be an easy task. I think it has to be done in a very programmed and systemic manner, and coming together would definitely help the industry overall flourish. There's definitely been a perception change. When you talk about numbers, I think what's happened is you do see a lot of us who are already banked using digital means of payments much more, for example. When it comes to e-commerce, there's much more digital, online shopping, for example, happening. But for me, I think there's still much more that has to be done to bring in the unbanked or even the underbanked, who weren't, addressed even before COVID. So I don't know whether there's been a number shift in people who've been coming into this stream. COVID has definitely brought in a perception change. It's a lot about perception and what you get onto your shoulders. Nothing is impossible or difficult for women. Both men and women are equal. It's how you actually take on a task. So I think it's not only for women. Anyone who gets into this field, I'd say get into it for the right reasons. Don't get into it because entrepreneurship is a big word these days. Get into it because you actually want to make a difference and you understand the value that you bring in. And yeah, I think right now, even in tech, some of the best developers that we have are actually women. I see women are very, very, methodical and committed in many cases more than men. So I wouldn't differentiate between the two in terms of what roles they're taking on. But I'd definitely say that things are tougher for women in the workspace. And one thing that I'd say is, when things get tougher, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better and strive towards it.